Toto Wolff just said the one thing Ferrari fans were not ready to hear. Because Hamilton's first win in red was supposed to be the fairy tale. The smile. The podium. The proof that leaving Mercedes was not a mistake. But ahead of the Austrian Grand Prix, something much bigger is happening behind that victory. Ferrari is preparing the exact upgrade Mercedes feared most. A power unit correction aimed at the weakness everyone kept using against them, a deficit of at least 25 horsepower, and a car that may have been waiting for this moment all along. Hamilton did not just win with Ferrari. He may have exposed the beginning of a shift Mercedes can no longer control. And that is why Toto Wolff's message hit so hard. Because if Ferrari can win before the Austrian engine package fully arrives, what happens when Hamilton and Leclerc finally get the missing piece? This is not just pressure. This is legacy, revenge, and a championship warning wrapped into one weekend. And by the end, the real question will not be whether Hamilton made the right move. It will be whether Mercedes realized the danger too late. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why Toto Wolff's reaction matters, you have to look past the podium. Because Hamilton winning with Ferrari is already powerful on its own. It is the image Formula One fans imagined the moment he chose red. Hamilton standing with Ferrari, proving that the move was not just emotion, not just history, not just one final romantic chapter at the most famous team in the sport. But the timing is what makes it explosive. This win arrives before Austria. Before the weekend where Ferrari's biggest technical question moves back into the center of the championship story. Power. 4 months, Ferrari had almost everything it needed to become dangerous, but not quite enough to become complete. The car had traction. It had stability. It had an aggressive aerodynamic concept. It had a hybrid system designed to deliver energy more cleanly across the lap. But against Mercedes, one weakness kept coming back. The power unit. And that is why Hamilton's win changes the entire conversation. Because if Ferrari can already win while carrying that weakness, then Austria is no longer just an upgrade weekend. It becomes a threat. Not a promise. A threat. Mercedes can ignore hype. Mercedes can dismiss fan emotion. Mercedes can wait for Ferrari to make a strategy mistake, overheat its tires, or lose balance under pressure. But Mercedes cannot ignore evidence. And Hamilton's first Ferrari win is evidence. It proves the car is not a fantasy. It proves the project is not only built on nostalgia. It proves Hamilton did not walk into Maranello just to wear red and hope history would do the rest. He walked into a team that had been building toward a specific moment. And that moment may be Austria. This is what makes Wolff's position so complicated. He knows Hamilton better than almost anyone in the paddock. He knows what Hamilton looks like when he believes in a car. He knows what happens when Hamilton starts trusting the rear end, reading the tires, and extending a stint longer than people expect. He knows that when Hamilton has confidence, the race does not end when he is behind. It starts becoming more dangerous. That is why this is not only a Mercedes versus Ferrari story. It is a psychological story. For Hamilton, the first win gives oxygen to the entire Ferrari project. It tells the garage that the long hours are not just theory. It tells the engineers that the direction is real. It tells the mechanics that the pressure is worth it. It tells the fans that the dream has teeth. But for Mercedes, it sends a different message. Hamilton is not gone from the fight. He has simply changed colors. And if Ferrari now gives him more power, that changes everything. Because the early Ferrari was not described as a hopeless car waiting to be rescued. It was described as a car with a strong base, but one major missing ingredient. That distinction matters. A broken car needs miracles. An incomplete car needs the right piece. Ferrari may have found that piece at the exact moment the championship begins to tighten. The source material points to a power deficit against Mercedes, estimated at least 25 horsepower. That number is not just a statistic. It is the measure of Ferrari's pain. 25 horsepower can be the difference between attacking and waiting. It can be the difference between defending with confidence and watching a rival close in before the braking zone. It can be the difference between choosing a high downforce setup for better cornering or trimming the car out because the engine cannot afford extra drag. That is why power affects everything. It is not just speed at the end of the straight. It shapes the entire weekend. And Hamilton understands that better than most. A driver feels missing power long before fans can see it. He feels it when the car exits well but does not keep pulling. He feels it when he gets close enough to attack but not close enough to finish the move. He feels it when the battery deployment fades and the straight suddenly feels too long. That kind of weakness changes decision-making. It makes a driver hesitate for half a second. And in Formula One, half a second can erase a chance. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine Hamilton leaving a corner and feeling the Ferrari pull harder than before. Imagine Leclerc attacking a qualifying lap without fearing that the straight will punish him for adding wing. Imagine Ferrari's strategy wall knowing it can defend track position without sacrificing the entire car balance. That is what Austria might offer. Not guaranteed domination. Something more realistic and more dangerous. Freedom. Freedom for Hamilton to race rather than compensate. Freedom for Leclerc to attack rather than overdrive. Freedom for Ferrari to choose strategy instead of being forced into it. That is why Wolff's message lands with so much weight. Because if he is warning Hamilton, challenging him, or simply acknowledging the scale of the moment, the meaning is the same. It would mean he could step outside the empire he helped build and still remain dangerous. It would mean his success was not trapped inside one era, one team, one color, or one system. It would mean he could take the biggest risk of his late career and turn it into proof. That is why Wolff's reaction feels like more than a rival comment. It touches legacy. And legacy is the one part of Formula One that never fits neatly into data. You can measure horsepower. You can measure lap time. You can measure tire degradation. You cannot measure what happens when a driver starts to believe history is opening again. That is where Hamilton becomes dangerous. But Leclerc is not just standing in the background. He is the other half of the Ferrari equation. If Hamilton's first win gives Ferrari global shock value, Leclerc's response could define the internal future of the team. He cannot afford to look like a passenger in the revival. He cannot simply celebrate Hamilton's success and wait for his turn. A faster Ferrari demands a faster answer from Leclerc. And that may be exactly what Ferrari needs. Two drivers pushing the car forward. Two drivers forcing the engineers to refine every detail. Two drivers making Mercedes and McLaren wonder which red car will be the bigger problem on Sunday. That is the dream version. The nightmare version is different. Two drivers with championship-level ambition. One team under massive pressure, and a car finally good enough to make every internal decision explosive. Austria may begin to show which version Ferrari is closer to. And that is why the next race cannot be treated like a normal follow-up to a win. It is a pressure test, a technical pressure test, a psychological pressure test, a leadership pressure test, and maybe even a loyalty pressure test. Because Hamilton's presence forces Mercedes to confront the past, while Ferrari tries to build the future around him without losing Leclerc. That is a delicate balance. And Toto Wolff knows delicate balances can break. He has managed champions. He has managed pressure. He has managed dominance. He knows that the hardest part is not creating speed. It is controlling everything that speed awakens. That may be the real meaning behind the bombshell. Not that Ferrari should be feared because it won once, but that Ferrari should be watched because winning once may have unlocked something inside the team. A different posture, a different belief, a different relationship with risk. And now, with Austria coming, the engine upgrade becomes the next truth serum. If Ferrari handles it well, the paddock will feel the change. Hamilton will not look like a romantic gamble anymore. Leclerc will not look like a driver waiting for promises anymore. Ferrari will not look like a project waiting for its future anymore. It will look like a team arriving early. And when a team arrives early, rivals panic quietly. They do not always admit it. They talk about their own programs. They talk about focus. They talk about long seasons and small margins. They say everything is under control. But inside they start recalculating. That is what Mercedes may be doing now. Because Hamilton's first Ferrari win asks one question. Austria asks the next. And the next question is much more frightening. What if Ferrari won before it became complete?